What if the next few years aren't just another page on the calendar, but a massive test, a filter for all of humanity? Today we're digging into a really provocative idea, that the year 2026 is a massive turning point. Our source for this is a fascinating thought experiment, imagining some of history's greatest minds debating what's just around the corner. So let's dive in.
This quote really just cuts right to the chase, doesn't it? The great filter is this concept scientists use when they ask, where are all the aliens? It's that one impossible hurdle that stops civilizations from going interstellar. Well, the idea here is that 2026 isn't just another year. It's our great filter, a challenge that could literally define everything that comes after. The stakes, yeah, they couldn't be higher. So what is this great shift we're talking about? Well, according to the source material, it's not just one single event. It's more like a cascade, a whole series of dominoes falling at once. We're talking about a full-on societal reset that's going to touch our money, our jobs, and yeah, even our very definition of what it means to be a human being.
Okay, first up, the Great Reset. This whole prediction argues that the very foundations of our world, money, who's in charge, even the idea of a city, are about to get completely scrambled and rewritten.
This slide gets right to the absolute heart of the problem. I mean, if money as we know it just fails, what has value anymore? Is it what Satoshi Nakamoto, the mysterious creator of Bitcoin, argues for? Pure, verifiable, mathematical proof of work that no one can tamper with? Or is it what the naturalist Thoreau believed, that value is the literal life energy, the hours of your life you trade for something? It's a huge battle, really. Code versus conscience.
So, when an old system breaks down, a vacuum is created, right? Something new has to rush in. The source suggests a third option could emerge, a system called creditism. The idea is that your reputation itself becomes your currency. Just imagine a digital wallet that doesn't just show how much money you have, but the entire story, the ethical footprint of everything you buy. It's a world where your values become just as important as your value.
This all leads to something called the Age of Wind, a future where these massive, heavy structures like big government and giant corporations just aren't stable anymore. So in a world with no anchor, what holds us down? Well, Satoshi points to code, to protocols that can't be broken, instead of leaders who can be. But Thoreau? He suggests the anchor we're looking for isn't out there at all. It's inside of us. It's our own conscience.
And while we're all busy trying to find a new source of authority, another force is rising that's going to completely redefine who we are. The next prediction says that AI won't just change our jobs, it's going to split humanity itself into 4 totally new and distinct classes.
And here they are, those 4 possible futures. You've got the enhanced, the ones who literally merge with machines. Then there's the creative, who learn to master AI as this incredible tool. You've got the dependent, who basically live off of AI-generated content and universal basic income. And finally, the old type, who just reject the whole thing. 4 completely different paths for humanity, all branching off from this single point. The big question is, which one is the right one?
Representing the old type perspective, we have the legendary animator Hayao Miyazaki, and his take on this is just visceral. For him, the struggle, the pain, the resistance you feel when you're creating something, that is the art. He sees a world of easy, effortless AI creation not as some kind of freedom, but as a kind of spiritual death, a total insult to what makes life meaningful.
And then, for the most extreme contrast you can imagine, you have the futurist Ray Kurzweil, who's basically the voice of the enhanced. He sees the shift not as death, but as a return to the Garden of Eden, a final escape from all the biological and mental limits that have held us back. For him, merging with AI isn't just an option, it's our evolutionary destiny.
This table just lays out the trade-off perfectly. For every single one of these classes, the promise is tied directly to the peril. Liberation from our biology could mean a total loss of our humanity. A life of leisure could mean we become irrelevant, like managed pets. You see the dilemma here, right? Every single path has its own utopia and its own dystopia baked right into it.
Okay, so as if a total societal reset and an AI-driven class divide weren't enough to handle, the source predicts another huge shock to the system for 2026, the year of open alien contact. And get this, Japan apparently plays a surprisingly central role.
And just like our other big topics, there are 2 completely different ways to look at this. You've got Tom DeLonge, who's worked with military insiders, and he sees the phenomenon as a potential threat, a superior intelligence that we just can't comprehend. But then you have this Japanese farmer, Akinori Kimura, a civilian who claims he's had repeated contact, and he sees them as worried neighbors, just patiently waiting for us to stop burning down our own house.
And this is where it gets really, really mind-bending. The source describes their technology as being consciousness-assisted. This means you don't fly the ship with a joystick or buttons. You merge with it. You bond with it through your own intent. Think about an athlete who's in a deep flow state where thought and action are just one thing. This suggests the real barrier to contact isn't technology, it's consciousness. You don't need a pilot's license, you need a pure heart.
All right, the final piece of this 2026 puzzle is, well, maybe the most chilling of all, because it's about the ultimate form of control. This prediction dives into a secret geopolitical program to conquer the one thing that makes us all equal: death. 150 years. That is the alleged goal of something called Project 981, a program designed to extend the lifespan of the global elite using gene editing and AI. It's the ultimate power move, creating a world where the rulers never have to leave.
So, is an immortal leader a good thing? China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, who was obsessed with living forever, he would have said yes. It creates ultimate stability. But then George Orwell gives us the terrifying counterpoint. If the dictator never dies, hope itself dies with him. It becomes, in his famous words, a boot stamping on a human face forever.
And there's a dark, moral price to be paid here. The source claims this technology is fueled by organ harvesting from the many to serve the few. The manga artist Osamu Tezuka has a word for people who would do this: gaki, or hungry ghosts. They don't achieve true immortality. They just become cursed with this endless, unsatisfied addiction to existence itself.
So, after all that, a financial reset, an AI class divide, alien contact, and immortal tyrants, what's left for us? Well, the source boils all of this down to one single powerful choice.
This quote just frames the takeaway so beautifully. This age of wind isn't something to be afraid of or to fight against. Change is coming, and it's coming hard and fast. The choice isn't if the wind is going to blow, it's about how you're going to respond to it. Are you going to build a wall to try and stop it, knowing it'll just get knocked over? Or are you going to build a windmill and harness all that energy to create something new?
Ultimately, all of these predictions for 2026, they're not just about the world out there, they're about you, right here. They force us to ask some really fundamental questions. In a world with no anchors, are you going to be rooted in code or in your own conscience? When you're faced with AI, will you become the creator, the consumer, or something else entirely? When those winds of change finally hit, who will you be? The wall or the windmill? The choice, it seems, is ours.